Let me ask you, yesterday, or earlier this week, one of the most important executive orders was pulling the U.S. out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. You know, we had Fred Smith on, global CEO. We had a number of banking CEOs on, global CEOs this week. They were all for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We spoke with Peter Navarro, your trade guy, earlier in the week. But what do you have to say that, 80% of the purchasing power is outside the United States? And the fact is that the U.S. needs these trade deals in place in order to continue the vibrancy that we see in America. Are you confident he can do these bilateral trade deals in a quick manner?
Yes, I am confident. President Trump makes very clear that he is for trade deals. It's just a matter of renegotiating them in a way that puts America and American workers and her interests and allies first. Maria, 65% in a Morning Consult poll released yesterday said they approve of President Trump's message of America first, and they know what that means. It means that, of course, we negotiate bilateral trade deals, but that we do it without getting screwed by other countries, frankly, which is what it's been by and large. That was a centerpiece of his campaign, and people really related to that message. You know, Maria, I'm a pollster by trade. You look back at polls in the last 3, 5, 10 years, trade was barely mentioned, barely even offered as an option on what's most important to you as a voter or you as an American, and yet President Trump has elevated it right up there with illegal immigration, really fairness to the American worker as a centerpiece of his presidency in just week 1. So, of course, there will be new trade deals, but they have to be renegotiated so that our factories stop closing. 70,000 of them have closed, so that American workers and their places of work and industry can remain in the United States rather than going to China and Mexico immediately. So I understand, and look, I wanted to also say there were some polls out this week, not done by us here, but by other outlets, that showed more Americans disapprove of NAFTA and TPP than approve of it. And I think it's because they started to learn more about it and what is the implication to the American worker over time.
Yeah. And Theresa May coming to the White House, I guess, meeting with the president this week. What is he trying to get out of Theresa May? What kind of a deal should we expect with the UK?
Well, here at the White House, we're just thrilled that the first foreign head of state to visit the White House is Prime Minister Theresa May, scheduled for tomorrow, Maria. She also will be at the retreat, the Congressional and Senate retreat with the Republicans today in Philadelphia. That is another enormous step forward in UK-U.S. relations. They, of course, will be talking about trade and a range of other issues. Of course, you know what happened in the UK. They had Brexit. We got Theresa May. Here in the United States, we had the Donald Trump effect. We got him as president. So I think there's a lot of commonality there in terms of what their respective electorates and what their respective populations are looking for in their government.
Will that be the first bilateral? Is that going to be the first bilateral, Kellyanne?
It could be. It could be, but certainly there will be a conversation about it tomorrow, a wide-ranging conversation on a number of issues. You can expect trade to be on the agenda.
Let me ask you about sanctuary cities. The president took this step toward ending the practice through an executive order yesterday, which would eliminate funding for cities using sanctuary practices to harbor illegal immigrants. Sounds, like what we should be doing, but this law has been blown off for so many years. But these cities are fighting back in spite of the threat of losing the funding. So you hear Rahm Emanuel say, oh, no, we welcome everybody, come on in to Chicago. Boston said this is not who we are. How far is the president willing to go? I mean, is there something else to be done beyond holding back federal funding if they don't follow the law?
Maria, it's just remarkable that we have mayors across this country blatantly and flagrantly violating the law and calling on a continuation of that. I mentioned Kate Steinle before. There are other examples. Just yesterday at the Department of Homeland Security, President Trump and Vice President Pence were there, flanked by angel moms who have lost their children at the hands of illegal immigrants who should not have been here, murdering their children, their innocent children. I've memorized all their names because they are real people, and these are real part of the American carnage that the president talked about in his inaugural speech, which, by the way, in another poll, 51% of Americans said was optimistic, not dark and gloomy the way the press often covered it. The sanctuary cities have to end because we as a nation have to be a nation of laws, and we have to be a sovereign nation that has borders. We've spent billions of dollars protecting other nations' borders. It's high time we do it here. And if somebody has committed a crime, as Kate Steinle's murderer had, 5 times he was deported, what in the world is he doing here? Why are you harboring him? And in the case of Rahm Emanuel, he has other problems in Chicago. President Trump has offered help to Chicago, to Mayor Emanuel, and I understand Mayor Emanuel, when they met earlier this month, was open to the help. 762 murders in Chicago last year, over 1,000 shootings. 2017 is already on track for another crime wave. And so it's really just unbelievably crazy that we have mayors flagrantly saying we're going to defy the president's executive order, and for what purpose? To harbor illegal immigrants who we know are in many cases taking jobs and taking lives.
Yeah. Is he going to send the National Guard into Chicago?
That has not been determined. I think he'll have another respectful conversation, a collaborative conversation with Mayor Emanuel before any action is taken. We just know that Mayor Emanuel has been open to receiving the president's help and the president's advice. So that's a good step forward. And when people sort of ridicule this idea of American carnage, look no further than Chicago.
Kellyanne, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria.
Kellyanne Conway joining us there at the White House.